In this video, we're going to connect to a MySQL server and import the data from a MySQL database. After that, we'll do some data exploration and data cleaning. First, we'll launch a Jupyter notebook. I've explained in the previous videos how we could launch Jupyter notebook from terminal as well as from the Anaconda navigator. Please feel free to watch those videos if you want any help in that. So coming to the connection to MySQL server, you could use a library called mysql-connector-python. To install it, you could use this command !pip install mysql-connector-python. To know the details of this particular library, you could go to MySQL official page and you could see the API documentation of that library. Now, since I already installed this library, I'm not running it again, but you could run it if you want to install MySQL connector Python. Next, I'll import all the libraries. Import Pandas as PD, import numpy as np. Numpy is the shorter version for numerical Python. It is used for numerical computing in Python. Next, we import mysql.connector. You could import this only after installing MySQL connector Python. Next, to connect to a MySQL server, we need to give 4 parameters: the user, password, host, and database. So I'm defining the MySQL connection arguments: host, user, password, and database. Next, I would create a connection. Now, in the real world, we usually save this in a config.py file and import it into the main file, but because we are using a Jupyter notebook, I'm keeping them in the same notebook. So I got a connection string. To read the SQL data, we need to have a query and a connection string. Now that we got a connection string, we need to define the query. Now this is my query, a select statement to select the data from the database. Now once I got the query and a connection string, the method to connect and get the data or import the data from a MySQL server using Pandas is studentdata is the name of the data frame, pt.readSQL, query, and the connection string. After this, we need to close the connection to the MySQL database. Connection string dot close. Gave a warning, but it was executed. So we'll look at the data. This is the data which is imported. Let's look at the data types of the data. We could see objects and integers. Let's rearrange the columns. New column, I want the columns in this order. A new data frame df because I don't want to mess the original data frame. df is student data square bracket, new call order, and I want to look at the head of the data frame. So we could see the column order has changed. Next, I want to count the number of values in the student ID column. Count. So there are 395 student IDs in this data frame. I want the unique values in the student ID column. For that, I use the command and unique. Because these are unique, we could use this column as the index. Now let's check for null values. So there are no null values in any of the column. That's a good thing. Now let's check for the unique values of each column of the data frame. For that I would create a loop for call in df.columns. Unique values, I would use an f string here. I would just use a separator to make it readable. Okay, now we got the unique values in each of the column. In grade period 1, these are the unique values. In grade period 2, these are the unique values. In the school, these two are the unique values. In mother education, father education. So these numbers are not informative. To make them informative, I could replace these numbers with something more informative. To do that, I would create a dictionary. Let's call it set values. A dictionary starts with a curly bracket, famrel column. This column is the key, and I should define each value here. For the value 1, it should be replaced with very bad. 2 should be replaced with too bad. 3 should be replaced with 3 neutral. 4 with 4 good, and 5 with 5 excellent. Close the curly bracket, comma, and then the other column, free time. I would again define all the values for it, and then I would define for each column all the different values, and finally close the curly bracket. So df dot replace set values in place equal to true. This command replaces all these values with these values in the dictionary. After replacing, I want to look at the head of the data frame. As you could see, the mother education values have changed, father education values have changed, free time values have changed, because we have replaced all the values with these values. Now let's look at the data types. We could see the columns which have the values replaced have object as a data type. We could change that. For that, first I want to get the list of all the columns that were modified. For that, I would create a list comprehension, set value keys is k for k in set values. Set values we defined here, so all the keys were taken out and were put into this list. Now we could see the columns here. I want to change the data type of these changed columns from object to category, because it's a categorical data. To do that, I would use a list comprehension for call in df set value keys dot columns. For all these columns, df call is df call dot as type category. Close the bracket. After this, I want to check the data types. So we could see all the data type was changed to category. Now I want to check the value counts, or how many counts of each value is there in the famrel column. I use this df.famrel.value counts. We could see 1 very bad or 18 number, 2 bad or 18 in number, 3 neutral or 68, excellent or 106, good or 195. The result was sorted according to the number of counts. We could turn it off by using sort equal to false. Now I don't want the counts, I want the percentage of each value. Use the same value counts, but I would write an extra argument, normalize equal to true and sort is false. Now we could see the percentage of each value, get the percentages for multiple columns at a time. For that I would use all the columns and use a function called apply. pd dot series value counts, sort is false, normalize is true. You could see the percentages of each value for both the columns. Free time and go out. Let's get the percentages for mother and father education columns. I got that. So this is how we could connect to a MySQL server, import the data from a database and do data exploration and data cleaning. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.